Now I here have a bunch of strippers, and they're just walking because it's daytime, so getting them into where I'm throwing my pipe bombs is actually fairly easy. You saw there. Welcome, welcome. We be here at the Shotgun Messiah. We will be talking about grenades and all things that go boom. Well, that are grenades and grenade-ish items at least. Of course, we're here in Alpha 19 Days to Die. And if you never use grenades or the pipe bombs and things that go boom, you are really missing out because they can be extremely effective, not just in killing zombies, but even at conserving your resources. And I'll show you some tips about that in a little bit. But before we do that, let's step into my shop here. Much better. It's getting a little bit chilly out there. It's winter time after all. And if you enjoy my guides, why not just hit that subscribe button down at the bottom, and why not the notification bell as well, so you get notified when I have new videos, which of course is every week. And when it comes to things that go boom, obviously 7 Days that I have a bunch of them, but we're going to be looking at predominantly the pipe bomb, the grenade, and the contact grenade. We're also going to have a very quick look into the time charge and the dynamite, because they're also in the same skill tree or perk tree, so they bear mention. And a little bit about their skills. Now this is under the perception attribute, so this is the one you want to level. You don't necessarily have to go up very high in order to start getting your demolition going, because the really good thing, and this is something that I would always suggest that people do, is to unlock at least the Grenadier Initiate, because if you see, it can be done really easily and it allows you to craft pipe bombs, and that's really important because pipe bombs are one of the best grenades explosive in the game, at least early on. And if you look at, there's some extra stuff in there, which means that you have 10% extra damage, faster reload speed, not that you really reload with the grenades, but I guess shifting to the next one, aiming, 50% chance to stun enemies, and a 5% greater chance to dismember. Now, if we go down a little bit along this tree, it does require you obviously to have increasing amount of the perception attribute unlocked. But if you go down to the second one, you'll deal more damage, etc. And on the second, allows you to craft the dynamite. On the third one, you're down to, again, doing more damage, 30% increase actually really does help. But also you can craft the grenades and more efficient stacks of gunpowder, which again is going to be used in all these recipes. Number 4, more damage, and you have the rockets and everything that we're not going to go into here, because even though they are explosive, they're not really grenades, they're rockets. And on number 5 is where you have an extra 50% of damage, which is really awesome, and a lot of extra chance to dismember, stun lasts longer, and now you can craft the time charges as well as the contact grenades. Now we're going to bypass all the mines, because we're going to go look into that in another video later on. So if you go all the way down to number 5, it will allow you to craft even the contact grenades. However, the really cool thing about 7 Days to Die is, at least Alpha 19, is that there are a bunch of schematics out there that you can find. And if you're lucky enough to find them, you don't necessarily have to unlock the Grenadier demolition perk very high in order to start crafting them. So if you're lucky enough to find the pipe bomb schematic, that allows you to read it and then craft them. Same thing with the grenade schematic. You have the contact grenade schematic and the dynamite schematic. Now you don't have a time charge schematic, which is by itself really weird. It's a bit of an oddity, because pretty much everything else that you can craft has a schematic except the time charge. So unlock it either by the skills or by the schematics. The good thing about doing it through the skills is that you get more damage, which can really help if you're using them consistently. So I would suggest, at least early on, do 1 and then slowly make your way up to maybe 3, 4 or 5, maybe if you are going really heavy into them, but at least 3 will actually last you a really long time. So now that you have the skills, well, how do you craft them? So let's go to the workbench, really important. Now let's have a look at the first one, pipe bomb ammo. Pretty straightforward, actually. Looks nice and everything. You require plant fibers, which you can get in abundance, obviously. Short iron pipes is just some iron in the forge, and you can pump these out unless you just find them around. And gunpowder, 12 gunpowder. Not too bad, actually, not too bad. Let's have a look at the next one, the grenade, the regular grenade here. And this is the regular grenade. Now, you don't need, of course, any plant fire because it doesn't have a fuse. It does, however, require mechanical parts, one of them. A little bit more gunpowder at 14, and then you require some forged iron and a spring. And the only thing that is really tough about this one is the mechanical parts, and even that is not really that bad. But gunpowder, at least mid-late game, is actually fairly abundant. Forged iron and spring, of course, is just iron. But mechanical parts, you're going to have to go out and do some wrenching. A lot of mechanical stuff out there allows you to get mechanical parts when you wrench them down. Let's have a look at the contact grenade, which is the third and last one. And it's, as you can see, it's effectively almost the same as the normal grenade, except it requires 2 mechanical parts. So is it that much better? Well, we're going to test them out and you'll see. But let's have a look at the actual stats of them, because that's really where it comes in. Pipe bomb. It's got an explosion damage of 230. And you might compare that to a regular zombie, just a regular one, not the feral or radiated, which has usually about 125 to 150. This means that if you're lucky at a direct hit, it will kill the regular zombies, which is really nice. Got a little bit of block damage, not too bad. 4 explosion radius, which is okay. And a 4-second fuse time. As you go down, however, to the grenade, you'll see that the explosion damage definitely goes up. So does the block damage, but explosion radius also goes up to 5. You might think, well, 4 to 5 is not a big difference. Actually, it ends up being quite a lot, because the bigger the radius is, the more area you're covering when it actually goes off, which means more zombies that will be hitting. And then a fuse time of 3 seconds. We'll look then at the contact grenade, and if you see, there's no difference in damage or explosion radius, but it has no fuse time because it's a contact grenade. So it will explode whenever it actually touches or hits something. So it explodes on contact, ergo the name contact grenade. So as you can see, given a choice, of course, the grenades are better. However, when you consider the crafting expenses of it, well, it's really easy to get most of the resources except the mechanical parts, especially if you want to make hundreds of them. And that means that pipe bombs by themselves, even late game, have quite a lot of use, because you might be sitting with, let's say, a stash of 200 mechanical parts, and you think that, hey, let me make 50 regular grenades, but let me make 200 pipe bombs because I don't want to waste all my mechanical parts just to make grenades. Quick look at the time charges. So let's see at the crafting here. Time charge requires iron, easy, gunpowder, fairly easy as well, and electrical parts, which is actually easier than the mechanical parts. So that one is really easy to construct. What about the dynamite? Let's have a look. Stick of dynamite. Plant fiber, just like the pipe bomb, actually is easy to get. Gunpowder, you can see it takes quite a lot of gunpowder. Duct tape is actually not too bad to get as well, because as long as you have bones and you have some water, you can turn it into glue, and you turn glue plus the cloth into duct tape, which can give you literally hundreds and hundreds. Paper as well is easy to get. But what do they actually do? Well, if you look at this, and this is really a bit of a specialty here, it says 600 explosion damage, and you think, hey, this almost twice of the grenade, and yes and no. Where it really shines is the block damage, and it has 3000, not just any block damage. I'll do a really quick demonstration of that in a while. Explosion radius of 1 and a fuse time. Now, what this one is really meant is for blowing up safes. It's not really meant to blowing up blocks, because that's where you have the dynamite, which deals 500 damage. And just to explain the difference, the explosion damage is actually explosion damage to entity, and it's the same for all these ones as well. So take this as explosion damage to entities, and entities are things like, well, your vehicle, the player, other players, and zombies, and of course animals and everything. When it comes to blocks, it does 3000 damage, which is really good, and it's got a really good radius, and, well, 4 seconds. Make sure you're not within the blast radius. Well, let's have some things go boom, and we're going to start just very quickly with the time charge and I guess the dynamite as well. So we have here a regular block, and let me go over here. You see this one has about 2500 hit points. So if I throw this on like this, you might expect, actually, because it deals 3000 damage, it will blow the whole thing up, and it didn't. It actually only did less than 100 damage. So is it totally busted? I mean, it does say 3000. It's because it's meant to bust safes. So the safe has 5,000. Let's blow this one up. Let's back up a bit. And it's dealt, well, actually, quite a lot of damage. Are you looking and say, hey, but it's only dealt like 98 damage? No. If you look at it, it's an empty gun safe because it's actually open it. This is how it looks normally. Let me show it. Let's throw one here. Like that. It's gonna go off and boom. Now it's an empty gun safe because it's been opened up. It's been unlocked, which means it dealt about 5,000 damage to it. And the same thing works for these wall safes or the safes that you find around. Put on a time charge, back off a little bit, and boom. And you see it's empty and it's almost destroyed actually because it does it quite. So it does about 2,000 plus 2,500 damage depending on what it is, but it seems to do about 5,000 plus damage. So this one is open as well, which is nice if you're actually looting it, but it's not really meant for zombies. So let me show that as well. Let's bring in there's a nice little stripper. Oh, so because we don't actually want to show what we're doing, let's just dump a small pack on her back, and you would imagine that she should definitely get killed by this, and she did, because, well, it's stuck to her. But what if it's a feral stripper who has more health points? Let's test it out, put it onto her, and bam! She got killed as well. So you can actually kill zombies by sticking them with their time charges. It's fairly expensive though, because you're not really meant to use it that way, but you could. Now, what about the dynamite? Well, why not try it out? So we're gonna put one here, and we're gonna back off a bit here, and we're gonna see the destruction as that one goes off. That one deals a lot of damage to everything around. This whole place got taken out, one deep. I even actually started damaging these ones and all the way up here. And I think, did it take the, no, it didn't take the ceiling. Oh, actually it did, the ceiling over here. So it's the way, if you actually want to do some very quick mining, having dynamite can be really useful because it does a fair bit of damage. Let me see. Here, let's get away, and even more damage. You can actually do quite a lot of damage to buildings, to mountains, and whatever you want to blow off. Here's just a few of them, and I've taken out a really big hole here. It's actually pretty good for making tunnels in the mountains or underground, or just taking down a bunch of POIs. There's 6 of them. Let's go a little bit of a distance and see. Oh, they go off. Right, more of the hole. And we're actually going to be coming back to this hole in a little while. But the main thing we wanted to be looking at is the grenades and the pipe bombs and the grenades. So let's have a little bit of a look at, let's spawn in a stripper feral. So she has 237 hit points. So if I do like this, put it there, and let's see what happens. Bam, it took her out. And you might be looking, hey, if it does only 230 damage and she had 237, how could she die? Well, you are forgetting that I have Demolition Expert unlocked as well, all the way down to 5. So I do 50% more damage. So you're actually not just doing the 230 damage, you're doing plus 50%, which is an extra 115. So about 345, give or take, depending on how it actually hits. So let's try that again with the feral white. He obviously has a lot more hit points, so he should actually survive. You can see it did about 320 damage, which was about what I was anticipating. And this shows really the use of the skills. Perk up and you do a lot more damage, which means that your grenades are more effective. Now what about the other grenades? Let's look at the regular grenade, 310 damage. Let's throw it down here. Let's see if I can, oh, no. Oh, no, that was, right. So I didn't mean to do that. Sometimes when you're throwing your grenades, you end up getting multiple of them. So right click to light the fuse, left click to throw it, and you saw it did, well, about, what, 450 damage, give or take, which is actually pretty good, but he's still alive. So then what's the point of the contact grenade? Well, you right click as usual, then you throw it with your left button, and not a very good throw. Why was that such a bad throw? It was because I haven't taught you how to throw a grenade. Now, how you actually do it is that the right click is always to start it off. You see here, now I've right clicked and it's going to go off. Of course, because I'm in God mode, that doesn't really make a difference. Let's try that out without being God mode. Oh, it is gonna hurt, and yes, it did hurt. Of course, I have armor on me, which means it's not gonna be fatal. What you need to do is you need to hold your left click, and you saw that bar in the middle, the green bar, that one dictates how far you will actually be throwing it. It's going to be rolling down. Now, I didn't light that one because I wanted to show how it is. Same thing with the regular grenade. The harder you throw, the further it actually goes. And if I do that out, let's do it out here. Do it up here. You can actually throw it fairly far, as you can see. Now, it's not being set off, but I can do that. Throw it out, and we're going to have a nice little explosion over there. So if you want to throw it far, make sure you hold it in. You want to make it medium, just hold it in for just a while. The problem with the regular grenades though is that they have a fuse, and as the zombies run around, it can be fairly difficult to time it properly. And that's really where the contact grenade actually shines, because you hit your right button and then you just throw it at where the zombies are, and it will be hitting them and set off immediately on contact. Sorry, buddy, I didn't mean to experiment that much on you. I apologize. Now, I here have a bunch of strippers, and they're just walking because it's daytime, so getting them into where I'm throwing my pipe bombs is actually fairly easy. You saw there, 5,000 damage, and I killed a bunch of them. Now, this is pretty easy. I can do that with any grenades, even the regular grenades. If I just time it roughly, it should be killing a bunch of them. So I don't necessarily need the contact grenades. However, let's assume these are all of these ones. They're all feral ones, so they're running. Now that makes it a little bit difficult because I can do something like this, and then I can try to maybe drop it at my feet, but I don't really know where it ends up because it's too far back, and that's where the contact grenades can be really helpful. You run away and you just throw it at them, and it will actually set it off immediately. Of course, make sure you are not too close, because it will set off and it will actually kill you as well. And this is why we go back to this little pit. So why are pits good? Well, pits are really good when it comes to killing zombies. For one, if they are down in the pit and you are not, well, it gives you a height advantage if you just want to shoot them in the face. Well, on the head rather. But, it also really helps because if you have a bunch of zombies down here, and let's spawn in a bunch of the strippers here, they are pretty much concentrated in one area, and that's exactly what you want when you're throwing down grenades. So one grenade here, one pipe bomb, put it there in the middle, and bam, 9,000 experience because you took out a bunch of the zombies. Let's get a bunch more ones, and let's take a regular grenade here, drop it down in the middle there somewhere, and look at that, 25,000 damage. Now these ones would be perfect for a contact grenade because it will get set off as soon as it hits the first zombie, which means that 2 grenades and I killed something like 35 zombies, and that's an awesome amount of zombie kills and experience for very little resources. Now if you remember, crafting a large amount of grenades might not be desirable because it costs a lot of resources. However, crafting 50 or something is not too bad, even though, yes, it looks like that's going to be about, what, 700 gunpowder? However, also remember that it took me now about 2 grenades in order to kill 30-35 feral zombies. That's equivalent to about 4 bullets that you would normally be crafting with the same amount of gunpowder. And you're definitely not going to be killing 35 zombies with 5 shots. You will, however, when it comes to using grenades. So get them into hole and you can get massive amount of experience for actually not a lot of resources. And this is really where grenades shine. Get them into a pit, get them all clumped together. Of course, normally, even on Blood Moon Horde, you're not going to have 30 or 40 of them at the same time. You could, but let's say you have a Screamer Horde or you're having a Wandering Horde, you can pretty easily get them into one location. And I'm going to show you a simple base to actually accomplish just that. So this is how simple you actually do it. You just have a ramp up and then you have another platform on the other side. Then you're going to use the well, this is the half block, semi-pathing, whatever trick that basically tricks the zombies into wanting to walk over. And this is fairly simple. If I have one zombie, let's get one zombie coming in here. No. No. Die. Okay. All right. So as you can see, they definitely can run over here, which is of course not what we want them to do. So what we're going to do instead, we are going to take this block. This is the sort of the half block. We're going to turn it around a little bit, and we're going to put it so that it's on this block, like so. Something like this. And we're going to make this about 4 high just to make sure they don't jump over. Let's do it like this is enough. And we're going to expand this just 1 to make sure that they have enough space to actually run over. And we're done. You might be thinking, hey, well, they can't run here, which means they're not going to path. And you would unfortunately be incorrect. If we spawn in a couple of strippers, we'll see here, they run up here and they think they can walk here. They can't, they fall down. Stop, ladies. Stop, ladies. So now we have half of it done. Now what you want to make sure then is that you have a bit of a pit here. So let me go ahead and make a small little pit here so I can show what I mean. And here we have this small little pit. So I've dug it down about, what, 7 or something. I've lined it with concrete just to make it last a little bit longer. If it doesn't last long enough, they'll actually dig out here. So let's have a look here. Let's bring in a bunch of feral strippers and let's turn on the AI as well. Otherwise they won't be running. Let's see here, they all come here and see they're going to fall down here into our nice little pit. Come on. You just want to make sure that the pit is large enough to hold the amount of zombies that you want. See, they're coming here. Come on, all of you. Come on. Couple left. Come on, you two, ladies. We want to get all of you 25 in there. And, yeah, how did you get out? Well, it doesn't matter. We're going to do this. We're going to drop in a grenade and let's see what happens. Bam! Anyone survive? Well, a couple survive. Let's throw in a pipe bomb and I think that should take care of them as well. And it did. So it's a really simple way of having a base. You just make sure you lure them into a kill zone, and this is one way to make just I call it kind of a kill trap. Make sure that they can't make their way out because they will be bashing a little bit on the sides here. There has been some damage as you can see. And then when you think there are enough of them in there, you just dump in a bunch of grenades. So you can use whichever you want. And this is actually where I would suggest to just use the pipe bombs because you can just throw in 1, 2, and then you light the third one and it will set everything off and you'll get massive amount of damage in that small little area. Remember, the pipe bombs have 4 explosion radius. You get them in the middle, it's going to do damage to pretty much anything inside the pit. Oh, alright. Hello, nerds. You want to try it out as well? Yep, why not? Why not indeed. Let's do that one and there you go. Of course, it's a bit of a waste if you only have 1 zombie in there, but if you have a bunch of them, it's a lot more effective. You can get massive amount of kills for very little use of gunpowder just by having, well, small little trap, small little hole, and a bunch of grenades. So if that doesn't convince you to start using grenades, I don't know what will. But it's the grenade in a nutshell. Hope you enjoyed this little tutorial and go out and make your own grenades and have a lot of fun with them because they're really, really good. Just make sure they don't explode in your hand because it will kill you eventually. Good night. Sleep tight. See you in the morning.
Special thanks to the great patrons supporting the channel. If you would like to join the Vedui community and support these videos, do follow the Patreon link.